Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, today's episode, we're talking about credit card issuer travel portal. So, of course, we'll talk about how they work, what things you should know, the pros, the cons, and everything you need to know when you're making your consideration on how to best redeem your points for travel. So, of course, if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. So, when it comes down to it, obviously credit cards break down between cash back and travel. So, we're focusing on travel cards this time. When it comes to travel, you have two real ways to redeem your points, right? Now, technically, yes, you could redeem for cash or statement credits or merch, but those are terrible redemptions. So really two realistic ways. On one hand, you have transfer partners, and then we have a full video on that I'll link down below for you. And then the other way you have is credit cards have their own basically travel portals, right? And those are your two options. Now, if you think about a travel portal, it's very similar to kind of like an Expedia or Hotels.com or something like that, right? So those are more like external portals. You don't have to be a member with the bank or have a specific credit card to use those portals. But the concept is still the same. You can go through that portal. You can book flights, hotels, rental cars, you name it. Basically like one type of place that kind of aggregates all of the potential bookings and has filtering options and things like that. Exact same thing, except the difference here is that, as you may have guessed, like if you take like a Chase or a Citi or an American Express, they all have their own what we call internal travel portals where you can use to do essentially the same thing, except this time around, you're going to be able to use, credit cards or credit card points more specifically to do this. So how does this work exactly? Well, if you start by just the infrastructure here, a lot of these card issuers like Chase, for example, Chase has at one point, like Expedia was the back end of their travel portal. So it was like the Chase Ultimate Rewards travel portal. Basically, they call it private labeling or white labeling sometimes. It's basically a Chase interface up front, but behind the scenes, Expedia was actually running it. Now Chase has since, purchased, I think it was CX Loyalty, and they're kind of run different things about credit card perks, purchased them, brought them in-house to basically now fully manage their own credit card portal. But again, it works the exact same way. We've seen other partnerships in this space as well. So if you're familiar with one, you're familiar with the other there. So, what are the pros to doing this? Why would you want to do this versus transfer partners versus using a Hotels.com or an Expedia, right? Because right now they sound the exact same. Well, on screen here you have it. Some of the pros are going to be, the travel portal is within the issuer site and it's designed to be, one integrated ecosystem and pretty easy to use, and for the most part they really are easy. Again, you have, the back end, is usually supported by someone who knows how to run travel portals, as we talked about. And of course, card member, you can book travel with your cards or with your points. And then sometimes these portals have different points boosts or even some type of deals, promotions, depending on which cards you have. So again, ease of use is the big thing, right? You don't really necessarily have to worry about transfer ratios. If you want to transfer your points out to a Hyatt or a Hilton or a Delta, sometimes you have to worry about transfer ratios. Sometimes you have to worry about blackout dates or availability or things like that. Because with the travel portal, one, you're not locked into any one chain, airline or hotel chain. Really, you can see all of them, right? You can filter through Hilton or Hyatt or whoever you want in there, so your points end up being, very flexible. Because, if you were transferring out to Delta, well, obviously you could only use Delta points. If you're using a Delta card that earns Delta miles, obviously you can only do Delta. But with the portal, you can take Ultimate Reward points or MR points or thank you points or venture miles, whatever your points currency of choice is. And you can use it to book anything you want, which is pretty helpful. Again, they're going to have hotels, airlines, car rentals. I think I've even seen cruises, some experiences in there. So really, you're also talking about like a one-stop shop for all of your booking. Like if you think about, the old school travel agents from back in the day who would book everything for you, you can do it all right there. And it's pretty easy. And of course, it's easy to price shop and things like that. Sometimes the card issuers have, deals worked out with certain areas, certain chains, things like that. You can get a slight, valuation bump. The other thing here is, you think about American Express, they have the Fine Hotels and Resorts program or the collection, where if you go through their travel portal, booking in the hotel that falls within the Fine Hotels and Resorts, we'll call it FHR for short, then you're going to get special perks, special property credits, special benefits, like, you can get upgraded and things like that. I have a video on that I will link down below. And lastly, the other benefit here is the one that's most talked about is the Chase portal. Again, with Chase, if you have the right card, the Sapphire Reserve, Sapphire Preferred, the Chase Ink Preferred, your points are actually going to be worth 25% or 50% more when booking through the travel portal. That's just a benefit you're not going to get when transferring them out to a transfer partner, or even, obviously booking through an external portal like an Expedia. You can't use your credit card points. So overall, those are some of the reasons why you may want to consider using your card issuer's internal portal. But of course, what goes up must come down, and there are some downsides to using travel portals as well. So let's take a look at this to get the well-balanced view. And when it comes to the cons here, the things you should keep in mind, it's really, for me, it's going to be redemptions rate, lack of user interface for post-booking edits, and then your status is not always getting honored. Now, again, in that same video where I booked, the FHR, I basically, with me in travel, I don't want to pay cash. So I did redeem Amex points, but it was like a terrible redemption. It was, I can't remember, it's like 60, 70 cents on the dollar or something like that, which is really, really bad redemption. Now, again, for the video's sake, I didn't want to pay cash, so I did it. But again, it's tougher. It's widely understood that you get better value transferring your points out to transfer partners, especially because sometimes they run programs where you can transfer basically one MR point to get 3 Hilton points or something like that. And of course, I'll link something down below where you can figure out how to calculate your actual cent per point stay. Now, of course, that's not saying every single time you book through a travel portal it's going to be a bad redemption, but more often than not, it's usually easier, better value at least to book, directly with the chain, their hotel or airline. And on top of that, the other thing here is, the big one at least, is status. So when, again, going through the Chase portal or even the Amex portal, when you do hotels, you'll see that there's not a spot to put in your loyalty number, which is a real problem, because if you take something like the Amex Platinum, one of my biggest complaints about the Platinum card is you get 5x back when booking hotels through the Amex travel portal, which is a fantastic multiplier, and you also get Hilton Gold and Marriott Gold status. The problem is, if you go through the travel portal to get your 5x, those chains don't want to take your status, your loyalty number, because you're not booking directly with them. They don't want to share the cut of that with anyone. They want you to book directly. So getting status honored easily and up front is, a perk of booking directly. Now, your mileage may vary. I've never actually had anyone say no, they wouldn't add my loyalty number at the front desk when I've done it before, but it can still, sometimes they can add it, but you don't necessarily get all the points or all the benefits that you normally would. Sometimes they simply add it to avoid the fight. So classic, your mileage may vary there, but that's definitely one of the hang-ups. And then lastly, for me personally, a lot of airline and hotel apps aren't amazing, but I do find it easier to manage the bookings for both hotel and airlines when I book directly in the app. You can add it to your ticket to your Apple Wallet, things like that. Get directions much easier, integrated straight to Apple Maps or Google Maps, whatever you prefer, which I can't really do that well when I go through the portal, especially the Chase portal. So that's another downside for me, at least. But overall, it's not too bad, and I have done both. So, final thoughts here, I would really say, it really depends on you. Again, if you're going to run a Chase-heavy setup and you like everything in one spot, you like the 25 or 50% points boost, then the travel portal is going to be fine. Conversely, if you like Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts, again, the one time I stayed, it was pretty easy to use. The upgrade was nice. The $100 property credit was nice. You can find some good stuff there, especially I see, like in Vegas, you can get some good redemptions as well. Then, yeah, I think it's fine as long as you're kind of using the portal to stack with other existing benefits. Now, would I go through the portal without would I go to the portal like on a 1-to-1? Probably not. It'd either have to be for Chase for extra points, Amex, FHR, something like that. On occasion, yes, it does make it easier because again, your points become more flexible, but realistically, there are so many cards out there that you can kind of figure out what chain you want, right? So let's say if you were a big, Hyatt person, then you should probably come over to Chase, get the Chase Hyatt card, maybe get some other Chase cards, because then you can again play the transfer partner game where you're going to get some better redemptions and you've got your card set up built out around a Hyatt card that's going to give you status. And that's the great thing about having all these credit cards with all these different partners. You definitely have options on how you build it out. So again, to close, I would either say yes, either you're playing the Chase trifecta with the points boost, you're playing Amex, FHR, or instead you're building out your own setup, and trying to go the transfer partner status through a credit card. But of course, guys, let me know down below how you play it and which one you prefer. Are you transfer partners? Do you like the ease of use of a travel portal? Love to get your thoughts. Of course, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below, because we are here every week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, content just like this. And of course, every Sunday, right back here with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. Again, my question for you guys is, let me know, which one you prefer, or some of your travel hacking tips and best strategies you have to share with the class. Love to get your thoughts on that. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and talk to you very soon in the next one.